Mate, Gussie, what's going on? How's training?
Nice and hot, a bit sweaty. I can see Hoff just sat in here. There's sweat everywhere, but pretty good. Working hard, so yeah, looking forward to the season.
Is Hoff like the dad of the team?
He is. Everyone that comes to the club thinks about a week after being here, going, I did not expect Jason Hoffman to be like that. He is like the dad, but he's also a child in so many ways.
Can you give us a couple of the ways that he's like a child?
He's always up and about, full of energy. He's like a little kid on away trips. He sits at the back of the bus with his 2 packets of lollies and he just sizzles people from the back of the bus eating his lollies. We always have a joke that his words per minute are through the roof and, certain trips, it's worse than normal.
You're right. I wouldn't expect him to be at the bus being a bit of a loudmouth, mate. But let's talk about you. Enough about Hoffy.
Yeah.
So,
don't worry about Hoff. Don't worry about Hoff.
Mate, Port Macquarie local. I was watching a video on YouTube of you, an interview you did a while ago saying 5-hour round trips when you were a junior. On the trips back to Port Mac these days, what kind of music podcasts are you listening to? What's your kind of go-to when you got a long car trip?
On a long road trip, I'll vary. I'll go through stages of being tired and not. I can go through from anything to a bit of Jack Johnson, a bit of R&B. But if I'm throwing a podcast on, I'd probably chuck on the Peter Crouch podcast. It's a good laugh and very relatable.
As someone who doesn't know who Peter Crouch is, can you tell me about the podcast?
He's an ex-footballer. Mm-hmm. He gets players that he's played with, people that are high profiles in football onto his podcast, and he just tells stories about, locker room chit chat and pranks. So it's a good laugh, but it's very relatable as well.
Now, if there was someone here at the Jets who was going to start their own podcast, who do you think would be the most likely?
Gee, their own podcast.
Someone rates themselves as a bit of an entertainer. Anyone come to mind?
Well, we have spoken about him a bit already. Hoffy probably has that in his locker, but I reckon if Dane Ingham was to start a podcast, it would be full of, anything. He's like Hoffy in being a child, but it'd go from anything to do with surfing, footy, having a laugh, but it'd just be very childish, as you can tell.
Yeah, he's standing on a park bench kind of twerking in front of us, which is an entertaining watch. Mate, on a serious note, you were named A-League Young Player of the Season last year. What does that mean to you? And I know you're a very humble guy. You wouldn't want to talk up your achievements. But after all you've, the 5-hour round trips that your parents have done with you from Port Mac down here, now at an early stage in your career, cementing yourself in the Jets, what does that mean to you? Yeah,
it means a lot. This club's given me a lot from, getting me into the academy and working my way through, through the youth team and into the first team. And, to achieve that award playing for Newcastle, it's a great honour. But, I've always said it, personal achievements nowhere near as good as, team achievements. So to have a successful year with the Jets and be pushing for a title would mean so much more. And that's what we're aiming to do this year.
When you do win a personal award like that, do you kind of think back on all the people who've helped you get there more than you yourself?
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the 5-hour trips before. My parents, I owe a lot to them. The sacrifices they made to pick me up from school and drive me to training, 3 times a week. Looking back on it now, I don't know how they did it because, once I finish training, I'm ready to go home and go to bed. So for them to do that and get back late and then still rock up for work the next day, it's, I can never be more grateful for them.
What do you get up to now, man? When you're away from the football pitch, you've obviously got time off during the week. Yeah. Are you surfing? You're playing golf? What's your kind of go-to thing to get away from football?
I am a very keen golfer. There's a group of us here that love our golf. A few of the new boys have mentioned that they love their golf, but haven't been out with them yet. But we signed up to Newcastle Golf Club, a couple of years ago, and we love it. Although it is a tough course, we do lose a fair few balls. But just being out there, having a hit around, especially with the boys, having a laugh, taking it easy. It's a good relaxer and mind settler.
Do you have a handicap?
I do. I think my handicap's about 11.
Yeah, wow. So you're good.
I'm not the best in the team. Best in the team would probably be Noah James. I think his handicap's at about 9. But you know, yeah, we're always playing, and it's always a good grudge match.
Is there anyone who's the worst golfer in the team?
Who's the worst golfer in the team? I hate to stitch him up, but we did have a golf day last year, and my word, it was the longest round ever. We played with Matty Yerman.
Yeah.
And he was the stiffest player I've ever seen. We kept, encouraging him because it was a long day out in Hunter Valley, but my word, there was no fluency to it. It was just stiff and it was tough to watch, but at the end of the day, it's good fun with the boys.
Mate, from my research, went on Instagram, you don't seem like a big Instagram guy. Most of your photos are like the professional football shots. You don't like sharing what you're doing on the weekend? You out on the course? You want to just keep your private stuff private?
Yeah. You know what? Even my mother is on Instagram. She's probably got about 60 followers, but she says, how come you don't post anything, like I win an award or something and I didn't really, I don't feel the need to big myself up. And she goes, why don't you just post that? Everyone else does. I said, you know what, Mum, you just deal with your own stuff and I'll deal with mine. But yeah, I'm not a big social media person, but I have an account.
Yeah.
I go on there every now and then, but yeah, it's not a main thing for me.
Who is in the team, you reckon? Who loves their Instagram, loves their stories?
Loves their Instagram.
I was actually giving Hoffy a pat on the back. He tags different businesses when he goes to business events. He's got photos of his family.
You know why? Because he can just talk. Every time we go for a coffee or something, he ends up talking. He ends up knowing the bloke that runs the cafe, and you're sitting there having a coffee by yourself at the end of the day because he's talking to there. But Matty German's pretty decent on Instagram. Reno, the new one, he seems to love a little Instagram post and getting the rig out. But yeah, I'd probably say. Off again, like you said.
What can't he do? Far out. Mate, talking about the rig, do you have a go-to, like, cheat meal?
Go-to cheat meal?
Or, like, if you just had a big game, you had a big win, you're like...
Yeah, I'll mix it up. If we play a game, I do tend to run around a bit and I lose a fair few kilos in a game, so... If I'm feeling good and we've had a win, I might get something to eat, like a bit of McDonald's or something, or a bit of some nuggets. I'm a sucker for some nuggets, so yeah, that's probably the go-to.
Mate, great. And now, final question for you.
Here we go.
I've got a retro party mix here.
Yeah.
You need to open that, and you can have one. And whatever your one choice is, we're just going to unpack as to why you picked what you did. You can have one from there. What's your kind of go-to in a standard party mix of lollies?
Well, as soon as I open this, I think of my dad because he's the only person I've ever met to like eating these. You can't tell me that's a nice lolly. It tastes like mint, it tastes like toothpaste, and he used to pick them out. So, Dad, I'll take that home for you. You can have that. Look, I'm probably going for a Coke bottle, to be honest with you. Nice and simple, but you can't beat a Coke bottle, I don't think.
I agree, and I don't know what they do to make it taste like Coke, but it actually does. So
yeah, it's a hats off. Close second would be a strawberries and cream. I'd say that's a great combination. Whoever's made that at Allen's, but I'll probably go with a Coke bottle.
Mate, shout out to the people at Allen's, obviously.
Yeah.
How's that one? Fresh?
Top. You've obviously bought these this morning. These are crisp.
Mate, Chris Paz from the Servo 5 minutes ago. Mate, Gussie, best of luck with the season. Shout out to Cardiff Ford for the Everest. What are your thoughts on the Everest?
Yeah, I like it. My dad just bought one, so I'm very keen on the Everest. This is a nice one. It's a very big screen, though.
Man, it's like
I don't know what's going on there. There's a bit happening there. It'd probably take me a couple of days to get around that, but I like it.
Perfect, mate, Gussie. Best of luck with the season. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.